rozgłośnie Polskiego Radia. Dziś rano o godzinie 5:40 oddziały niemieckie przekroczyły granicę polską, łamiąc pakt o nieagresji. Bombardowano szereg miast. Za chwilę usłyszą Państwo komunikat specjalny.
A więc wojna. Z dniem dzisiejszym wszelkie sprawy i zagadnienia schodzą na plan dalszy. Całe nasze życie publiczne i prywatne przestawiamy na specjalne tory. Weszliśmy w okres wojny, ale wysiłek narodu musi iść w jednym kierunku.
Hi guys, Birch here and welcome to the No Warsaw 21 project where we create the alternate history of Warsaw post-World War II, and we all do that using our Discord. We all do that in multiplayer and City Skylines, and it's all part of the broader genre of City Skylines video when we take things more seriously, when we analyze more stuff, when we take a deep dive into the economics, into the social issues, and when we talk about urban planning as a real subject and as a real thing, and not just playing a video game. Obviously, it is still a video game and this is a fun project, but there will be much more depth to this project than your usual everyday City Skylines video. So to understand what this project is, you need to imagine that Poland is not under Soviet occupation. So basically, the western zone ends with the eastern border of Poland, and we will not dive deeper into that issue. So basically, the general assumption is that the Second World War left Warsaw unharmed. Warsaw Uprising in 1944 didn't happen. Warsaw was only partially destroyed in 1939, but then much of that could be rebuilt quite easily, and it was done. So basically, we're starting in 1945 with capitalist system, with the continuation of pre-World War II Warsaw, and then heavy influence from NATO countries. And by heavy influence, I mean capital, I mean political, and I mean really to the extent of not being a fully independent country, right? Because after Second World War, and in the beginning of Cold War, Western countries couldn't afford to, for example, let some communist movements spring up in Poland. So this means, yeah, Poland is a democracy, but it is a democracy to an extent where it doesn't harm the American interests. And obviously, this is what happened in real life in many countries. And even speaking about Italy, for example, that there have been some trials to bring the communist movement there, and in all the Western countries, well, at least through foreign policy, United States tried to curb what the Soviet Union was trying to do. So obviously there will be some Soviet influences, as being the easternmost part of Western world is kind of a place where cultures meet, and Warsaw has historically been a place where Russian influence, where even more Eastern influences meet Western influences, and this is still seen in the culture and the political culture, in how Warsaw even looks. Like, if you take a note of what an average Western European city looks like, there are not so many skyscrapers. Contemporary Warsaw is kind of more Asian in that regard, because it has the tallest building in European Union is being built in contemporary Warsaw. So all these kinds of nuances of being part Asian, of being core European at the same time will be here, and also having a city that has not been destroyed by World War II is having a city with all the problems of pre-World War II, and Warsaw pre-World War II was a city with a lot of problems, and these problems are not unique to Warsaw. And the difference between what Warsaw is now and what Warsaw is in this project, because this project is based in 2021, is that we'll be trying to solve these problems using the methods that Western European cities used, obviously adding some Eastern flavor to it. But for example, Warsaw is a city built around quite efficient public transport, and then the tram system in this Warsaw is not really that efficient, because you have very narrow roads, you have cars sharing streets, and then obviously, for example, in the 1990s and then later on, you could move cars out of the streets, but 60s, 70s in this city, when motorization is booming, well, this is a nightmare. This is a total nightmare. You don't have any bigger roads in the city, and if you want to have some, you need to tear down buildings. And this is what happened in this state. Actually, we took the basic network and then we thought what happened in 2000, what happened in the 80s, what happened in the 90s, and much of those assumptions are already in there. We also ask ourselves the question, what kind of plans from pre-World War II could have survived? What was unrealistic? What was realistic? It is always a subject to discussion, obviously, because just having a different ruling party at a certain period of time just changes everything. This introduction video brings you into the main idea of the project, is that we've lost a great city. And obviously it was a city with a lot of problems, but we've lost 80 to 90% of it. And then the communists came in. So given the fact that Poland has only regained the independence in 1918 and then was only independent for 20 years, pretty much none of the concepts, none of the bigger ideas could be fully realized in such a short time. And then the communists came in. Well, there have been a lot of ideas, and there's a whole book about it on my shelf that is about what if, and these were actual plans, and we are going to realize some of those plans, and then we are going to think about what are the consequences of next eras, and this is where the project detaches from Warsaw pretty much, because then some global trends will influence how the city looks like, and the further away we go from World War II, the more the series will be about architecture and, well, this part of Europe under capitalist ideas and under market economy, under European Union and things like that. So much of the City Skylines community is either built around Western Europe and just creating beautiful cities with historic wealth, and this is a different take on cities. This is a take on City Skylines that is neither American nor Western European. So basically what you can see on the screen now is not a map, but this is an actual in-City Skylines engine, and this is obviously an overlay using the image overlay mod. And we've used 5 or 6 different types of overlays, like pre-war 1936 aerial photos, 1945 post-World War II aerial photos. Also this beautiful, I think this is a 10K map of the whole Warsaw region. So we don't only have the city center, but also the outskirts. So we were able to create the road network for the whole 81 tiles and have a faithful view of what Warsaw was in 1939 as a base scenario, where we start to split off the alternate history and real history. So we also used transit maps, and then basically from 1939 on we are creating an old history. And obviously we'll be talking about history, we'll be talking about the history of not just as a general, and we won't be talking about wars and big battles. This doesn't matter in this old history. Like, you need to take this outcome of Second World War, and we won't be diving deep into that. It doesn't matter. What we want to talk about is the social issues, the political issues, the architecture and urban planning, and how urban planning and architecture is designed by different ideologies. And you'll be able to see in different districts of the city how, for example, different influences change what you can see. And this is a big part of what is missing about City Skylines videos, unless you're watching Do Not Eat and hit likes, that there is not much depth to why did it happen, right? So if you see a big housing project, then probably there was a kind of socialist government that created it in the first place, right? Basically, this project has been ongoing for a couple of months already, so I started it in December 2020. Then some other people joined in, we've gathered some materials. This is a multiplayer project, which means you can always join the project through the platform Citieshare and our Discord. And this is a project open to international audience, and if you're afraid that I don't know the history of Poland, it doesn't really matter, because when you're building 70s estate or contemporary buildings, it's actually what happens in real cities. You bring architects, you bring urban planners from all around the world, especially the business side does it, and what you care about is profit. You don't care about the history of the city, right? So if you're given some land, you can do whatever you want there. Obviously, better architects will dive into the history and try to fit in the context, but there's plenty of land, and obviously being a capitalist economy in this project, you are kind of free to build some projects that are just what you want. Obviously there are some rules, and if you want to join, we'll introduce you to all those rules. So that's it for today. I hope that was enough to keep you interested in the series and you're looking forward to the next episode. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are interested, and if you want to have some more information, join our Discord. There are regular screenshots. There is more data on the project. You can actually write the old history. So this is an open project. Everyone can take part in it, and we're very looking forward towards new members. And well, we're just starting. It's been already half a year or even more, but we're only starting, so you can always join us, and see you again.